Hey, everybody. It's me, Jake, from Jake and Off. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode. I love you. I appreciate you. This week, my very special guest is Brittany Tilander, everybody. Give her a round of applause. Let her hear it. Brittany is a comedian and friend of mine from Kansas City, and she's awesome. If you want to follow her on Instagram, you can do so at BTFromKC. And on Twitter at BT_from_KC. She's always posting stuff. Great follow. Highly recommend. When you can, check out her show Body Language. Right now, all the tickets through the end of this year are sold out. So keep an eye for that. Awesome show. Drag, burlesque, comedy. What more could you want? Beyond that, guys, you should check out her podcast that she hosts, the Brittany and Patrick Show with Patrick Moore. It's over on the Pitch Network, so you guys should check that out. But other than that, I appreciate you tuning into this podcast. Thank you so much. I love you. I appreciate it. Follow us on Instagram at jaken.off.podcast and send anything at all to jaken.off.podcast@gmail.com. Other than that, enjoy the episode. Have a nice listen to the episode.
I'm going to get a UTI from this podcast.
Dude, that would be honestly like a cool thing to be able to say about my
badge of
podcast.
honor.
It gives people UTIs.
Giving people UTIs since 2023.
I really appreciate you being here, though.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. What, did your power go out in the storm at all?
Mine didn't.
Didn't go out?
But I've been house sitting for the family that I nanny for, and they live in Brookside. Lots of big old trees in that neighborhood. It's a mess.
Is their power out still?
No, their power didn't go out, but mine flickered on and off. But I live pretty far east. I live like east of Prospect.
Our shit was like out for it was 23 and a half hours.
Okay.
So it was pretty long time. I feel like I don't know how people lived before
Air conditioning.
Even just like a day after an hour, I was like, I'm fucking going crazy.
I know. Did you I remember you texting me being like, I closed all the windows and we've got all the doors closed.
I put all the blinds
like a refrigerator.
up.
You know how you want to keep it closed when your power goes out. You were also doing that to your apartment.
I probably have to throw everything out in our refrigerator. Our trash day is tomorrow. Yeah, I mean it got like it was 80 degrees in here.
You need to plug your Venmo at the end of this so that people can send you money for groceries because mutual aid right now so that you can fill up. Condiments are expensive. What are your go-to condiments that you have to have? Because I'm like a spicy, like a whole grain mustard. I'm a big mustard person. I gotta have like several different kinds of mustard.
Yeah, so I would say the most necessary condiment that I have is the sweet Thai chili. Like if you ever get that stuff, so it's really great on sandwiches. If you put like
what you dip crab rangoons in.
Yeah, kind of, but it's got like the actual chili peppers in there, the kind that you can get from the store.
Yes.
I forget which brand it is. It's delicious and it's really good on sandwiches. So you put it on with like some chipotle aioli or something like that. I got a lot of aiolis in there. I'm a fancy condiment man.
Have you ever made your own aioli, like your own mayo?
No,
It's so easy. It's
really?
like an egg yolk, and then olive oil. And if you have an immersion blender, you just put it in like a rocks glass and then pulse it like 3 times, a little buzz.
And then
it's fucking mayo.
It's aioli?
Yeah.
Damn. What's the difference between aioli and like mayo?
I think one went to college and one went to community college. Have you heard like the big Duke's thing? Like everybody loves Duke's mayo now.
No, what's Duke's mayo?
I don't know. It's got like a yellow label. It's a good mayo, but
what's the deal with it? What's everybody so?
I don't know. Like people think it's really, really good. I don't know. Like it's
but
one of those.
Had it? You think it's good?
I tried it, yeah. And to be honest, like you know how there's like I won't have Miracle Whip or I only have mayo. I don't really even know the difference.
No, neither do I. Couldn't even if
I've smoked too many cigarettes. My palate is like not there or something because I can't tell the difference.
Right. And I also just think that like even if there is something that differentiates the two of them, they're used the same and they taste pretty much the same.
I feel like their labels are really similar too. They're both like yellow and blue.
Same. They come in the same kind of container.
Yeah.
They're the same consistency, the same viscosity. Tell me what's different.
You want to know who's really doing something? Kewpie mayo.
Okay, what's Kewpie mayo?
Kewpie mayo is like I think it's like a Asian like brand of mayo, but it's in like a really like squishy. It looks kind of like
a bag,
kind of like a colostomy bag of mayo. And then it's got like a little red nipple at the top.
Oh, nice. So you can just suck it straight out of there, dude.
Like a Go-Gurt.
Like the
like a fruit pouch.
Like the weirdest baby ever.
Oh, that's the Kewpie baby.
That's
Maybe
the mayo baby. He's the baby who's raised on mayo. It's just a fucking
That's a weird impression of Steven Taylor's dad.
Steven Taylor does seem like he was fed mayo from a bottle as a baby, like just straight up, maybe like mayonnaise. Oh gosh, I love mayo.
You know what I love? A fried pickle dipped in mayo with some dill in there. Oh. I love it. I love it.
I gotta expand my horizons on mayo, I guess. I feel like I've kind of like walked away from mayonnaise a little bit, not for any particular reason. It's just like I feel like there are so many more exciting and exotic sandwich toppings, you know?
Oh, and you can like, I mean, if you're trying to be healthy or something, you can do like hummus.
Yeah.
Or like avocado as like a kind of like binder.
Yeah, like a
so that
glue.
Your shit's not sliding around.
Yeah, make it all stay together. I love an avocado spread. You know? You ever get into
Sue me.
Like avocado ranch or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit's like pretty good.
Yeah. I any creamy condiment.
Yeah.
I'm from the Midwest after all.
Let me have it. I need it. Put it in me. I want an IV of ranch, dude. I love ranch so much. I used to be ashamed.
Why?
I'm not anymore. I'm done.
If that's how you eat your vegetables, fucking make it like a soup.
Exactly how I eat my vegetables. I don't put it on anything besides vegetables.
Do you want to know what I used to do as a kid for an after-school snack?
Oh yeah,
my mom was like working and I couldn't like make dinner for myself, and like I didn't feel like putting in the effort of like beanie weenies or something like that. I would take croutons and drizzle ranch dressing on top.
Yeah,
and that would be like a salad to me, and I would eat
sick,
it.
Dude. That's a salad to me now. that's every salad I've ever eaten. I used to, my big school snack was little Vienna sausages.
Oh my god.
Just straight out of the can, dude. I called them baby hot dogs.
Little puppy dogs.
Slurp the juice after. Drink up the juice, dude.
The bile
Can't leave
did
the juice. That's where all the nutrients are. It's in the juice.
Do you like canned meat? Do you like Spam?
Oh, I am a bit of a connoisseur. I do like canned meat. I don't eat canned meat very much anymore. But when I was a kid, I thought that Spam was like legitimately like, I thought that it was good meat, that like a good steak
because it
kind
is.
of. But I thought that it was like premier shit.
Sure.
And then one time I went over to a friend of mine. I went to his house and like stayed the night, and like his mom was like, "What do you like for breakfast?" And I was like, "Oh, like Spam and eggs." And she's like, "I'm feeding my kids that." And I was like, "Oh, what?"
She made you turkey bacon.
I was like, "Wait, what? What do you mean?" She's like, "It's a can. It comes in a can." I was like, "Oh,
and
you are full of shit."
What a classist bitch.
Yeah, no, I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like nothing wrong with a little Spam, you know?
I love
you ever
like
Spam masubi or whatever?
Oh, with the rice and the
like held together by the seaweed.
Yeah,
yummy,
I like doing like some chili oil on that.
Yeah, there you go.
Dip it in that and some soy
we're
sauce.
Talking about this podcast is just about food. We're just like talking.
What did we do before this podcast?
Mouth-wateringly about food, just describing it. Are you guys hungry? Are you feeling hungry? Are you listening to this before lunch? What are you gonna have?
Your
Eat
tummy
some Spam.
grumbling. You little tummy grumble.
ASMR.
You little baby. You little baby, aren't you? Are you a little baby?
Yo, you sold out like every body language for this year. That's pretty cool.
Luckily, Steven gave me access to the Eventbrite so I could keep making event pages because he's on tour and Carrie is Carrie. Love them.
Yeah.
But they could not be bothered. And I could.
So that's all that it took was just making the Eventbrite pages.
Honestly, just access to them. Steven, we sold out like the first show we sold out in 4 hours. The second show for August we sold out in 3 hours, and then every show following we sold out in 2 hours or less.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, pretty proud. Pretty proud moment for you.
You know, we kind of talked about
What are your fans called, by the way? Because we got to shout them out. Mine are the Jacoffs.
Homos, that's what they're called. Gay wads, I don't know.
I can't call them that.
Insufferable bisexuals, I don't know.
All right, give it up for the insufferable bisexuals.
That's probably what we are. But yeah, Steven like texted me when we were summing out like the second show, and he just goes, "What the fuck is going on?" And like sent me a screenshot of how much money we had for ticket sales, and I was like, "Well, a thing went viral, and is it cool if I just keep selling out tickets at least until the end of the year, and then we can decide what to do?" And he was like, "Yeah." Go.
Yeah, Steven's like, I love the insufferable bisexuals.
I'm an ally.
I'm the biggest ally they've ever had if they keep buying tickets.
I'm such an ally, I got a fucking mullet now. I dress like a lesbian now. I love lesbians.
He does a little bit. But it's a look. I feel like that's in, honestly. Like fashion, like queer fashion and stuff is becoming like way more mainstream.
Yeah.
And like you do see, I mean, like a lot of people adopting it for
this is the gay agenda, and I fully support it.
Yeah, and I think that people do adopt it for like, you know, some sort of like not necessarily appropriation, but just sort of like in the similar vein of like sort of like co-opting that culture. But I do think that like that just comes with anything becoming mainstream, and I think it's cool. I think it's awesome, and it's more comfortable. It's way more comfortable. Like I love that I can
loose button up. A nice loose button up.
And you can wear like sweats if they look decent, you know? The kids are
if they're mostly clean.
Everything.
Who cares if they're pilled?
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm so into that, like that aspect of society changing specifically is like we all are dressing more comfortable now. And it's
the pandemic truly changed us. I could not be bothered. I'm not wearing a bra or like real pants today. I wore my overalls.
I think about even in stand up, like the whole thing that people always would say is like don't wear shorts on stage, like which I've always thought was like horse shit. Anyways, I wear pants almost all the time. Yeah. Anyways, just because I like the way that like pants look and stuff. But I think that anytime somebody is like, oh, well, actually, there's this other rule that like you can't dress a certain way. It's like, dude, you are just like making shit up because you're not funny. Like that's just what it is.
Are you not fun?
You know, it's gatekeeping. It's like I can't say that they aren't funny enough, so I have to find like another reason. And even that's gone. Like Sam Talent is blowing up, and that dude, his balls are like practically hanging out of his shorts on stage.
His gams.
You know what I mean?
Half the tickets are sold for that, for those, a gander at those gams.
He is. It's honestly, I feel like it's a really big moment.
And, you know, shout out to Ryan Trickey and his bravery for wearing shorts and sandals on stage as well.
Absolutely. And honestly, Ryan inspired me. I got a pair of Tevas because...
Wait, his shoes are Tevas?
No, I don't know if they're Tevas, but he has the... I mean,
yeah,
like,
the front of them look like a tennis shoe, and then the rest is a sandal.
Well, it's not even a whole tennis shoe. It just covers his one big toe. It's like a thong sandal, but like just his big toe is covered in case he had to like kick something. Or
you know, like when people who work with birds wear like the gloves. It kind of reminds me of one of those. Like if you were to put his foot up in the air, like a hawk would land on it.
It is though.
Kind of gladiator-esque. I don't know, but it's a look.
He walked so that I could run. You know. Like, and now it's just the Pandora's box is open, baby. Free the feet.
I hope they are Tivas, because then that would really be like the gay agenda. Like, everybody is really turning into a lesbian.
I got
they
Tivas.
Should.
I had Tivas when I was a kid too. My granny used to buy us Tivas. So,
they hold up.
Yeah, they're legit.
And
they're
you can get
super
them wet,
comfortable.
and they'll dry off. They'll
I wore them
stink
in the lake
after, but
I wore them in the lake on 4th of July. Went swimming.
What did you do for 4th of July?
We went down to Lake of the Ozarks and just hung out with Ginny's dad and her little sister. So we swam, we grilled, like had some food.
Do you have a dock?
Yeah, he has a dock. It's like down a hill and stuff, but yeah, we just swam off the dock and
setup.
Did some cannonballs. Yeah, ate some cake.
Did you light off fireworks?
No fireworks this year. I am a fireworks person though.
You like them?
You like them?
I don't. I could honestly, if they never did fireworks on any occasion again, I would be cool with that.
You'd be fine. I don't necessarily care to go see them or anything, but I love lighting them off. I mean, there's just something about it, I feel like it's especially when I was a kid, we'd get into like blowing things up, never like animals or anything like that, because we're not like sick, twisted people.
Sadist,
we are, like we're civilized. I come from civilized people, but we never blew up anything that like was harmful. It'd just be like shit, like, oh, there's a bucket, or something, and you were like, we'll put a bunch of fireworks under here. It'll be really loud. And it's like, bah, 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 bah. You're like, yeah. I don't know. There just is something really awesome about it. I love it.
Cause and effect.
Yeah.
I think children in general just like to push their limits and see what they can do, and they like to just eke it a little bit further. I mean, I remember I was like that as a kid.
Yeah. You ever tie a smoke bomb to a rocket that shoots in the air, and then it's just like a bunch of smoke falling from the sky?
I've literally always been chicken shit. I've always been scared by fireworks. I would always be in the pool being like, every time somebody was about to light it off, I'd go under the water. So
didn't hear it. You gotta try it once.
I was playing mermaids.
You go to a tent. Because I lived in Kansas when we were a kid, and so you can't buy fireworks there. They're illegal. Like, it is like the really good ones too. Like you can buy like the poppets that you like throw on the ground and shit, and you can buy sparklers in Kansas, but like you can't buy bottle rockets. You
can buy bubble wrap to step on and stuff.
Right, exactly. The equivalent of that. I mean, honestly, like how can you call yourself free? You can't even buy fireworks.
I know.
I don't know. That's just me. But you couldn't buy them, so we would have to go to like, because in Missouri, on the Kansas-Missouri border, there will just be for the whole month of June just little tents that sell fireworks forever. And so we would always have to go over there and like spend an inordinate amount of money.
They're so expensive.
They are, and it's a complete waste. I mean, it's literally like you're lighting your money on fire.
Because it is a second of joy.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I feel like the joy has lasted me a lifetime, because even just when I think about it, it gets me fired up.
I'm hard as shit right now thinking about.
I mean, a big reason why I haven't lit off fireworks in a long time is because of how much they are. But the second that I get money, I've thought about this so many times, and like the second that I get money, I would buy a bunch of fireworks. I also, not a gun person, I would buy a bunch of guns. I would buy a bunch of guns. I would be like, they would be in a room like locked away or whatever, and like in this scenario, I'm have become like super villain rich, and so I'm living in like a lair underground. I would have a ton of guns. I would buy them. I just to go out and just shoot them whenever I wanted.
Would you have like the goggles and the head?
Definitely the headgear and the goggles and stuff. All the safety equipment. I would probably take like a couple of classes too, like that kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like,
honestly,
I'm fine with like responsible gun ownership, and so like I would definitely be going that route. But boy, I'd have some big ones.
Part of the reason why I don't have any guns is because I don't know how to shoot them. Yeah. But if I get to the point where if I feel like I need to have a gun, I'll definitely want to take at least a class.
Yeah, 100%.
Because what good is it?
Of course. And
if I'm gonna not know what I'm doing,
it'll teach you like how to like be comfortable.
Exactly. Because I am honestly not comfortable.
Right. And
they make me very nervous.
Yeah, rightfully so. They are used to murder people every single day. They're like literally weapons to use to kill. Like, And so it's like a very serious.
They don't also double as like a salad spinner. They're just strictly.
That's the crazy thing too, is like people who are like super like gung ho pro gun, like don't want any changes. They like, it's like, dude, but you are not acknowledging like why these were invented in the first place. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
and just how much they've changed over time. Like the laws that were made about guns way back when. The war was different back then, brother, and the way that guns were used were very different. And the just automatic weapons in general, those are meant for a specific thing. They
didn't know anything. The idea that those guys were like, look, I get it. They did a lot of stuff that nobody ever did before. Give them credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
But the idea that like the founding fathers are like these sort of like almost like mythical like beings who don't even actually exist. It's like these were just dudes and they fucked up a lot. Like they messed up a lot objectively. And so it's
most of what they did in their life is like not cool today.
Yes. Right. Like if any of those dudes were around today, everybody would be like, we gotta lock them up.
Yeah.
Dude. We have to put these guys in jail.
You'd think, but honestly, if we had a president who had like weird teeth running for office, we'd be like,
I actually
could be worse. He could have weird.
That is true. Like it does kind of make me feel worried that I agree. If we had like a guy with like a peg leg and wooden teeth and he was like, I own slaves, he would be probably like more popular than I think he would be.
Oh my God.
That's really scary.
He'd be like joining Guy Fieri on Diners, Drive-Ins and Dives.
Yeah.
And, like, doing a little episode with him. In like Albuquerque. I don't know.
Ugh.
Florida. For sure, Florida.
This is actually, it's good that we brought this up. Something that I want to talk about. So obviously presidential election in full swing.
Is Joe Biden going to be able, or is he just too old?
So here's my thing. I wish that Joe Biden was not the president. It's like, you know what I mean? I don't think that anybody that voted for him could name one thing that he's done. Yeah, I mean, I think that there is an argument to be made that like he's better than a lot of people thought, but like for most Americans that like aren't paying like super close attention to like the kind of like legislative things that happen day in and day out in Congress and at the White House and stuff like that, he's largely been ineffective. Like people's material conditions have not improved under Joe Biden, really,
at all.
Like not in any meaningful way. And you know, he's old, he is inept, and I wish that he wasn't running for president. I wish he wasn't forced to have to do this. That's that's the very sad part about it. That is exactly. It's almost like this Ruth Bader Ginsburg thing where it's just like, why are we at this point? Yeah. Is this the best like most effective way to have like a leadership from somebody who does not share experiences or could connect with the majority of the population in the United States? 100%. I think a big problem with the current state of politics in America, and specifically with the Democratic Party, is that the party leadership has so much control over the positions and what happens and you know what sort of their platforms are going to be, and nobody really has much of a choice but to fall in line. And that's a problem, but it also creates a new problem, which is something that I think we're seeing in this election, which is you will then have candidates run who are running as the outsider, but are really like straight up just, I mean, awful like people. So like I'm referring to RFK Jr. Specifically, which I don't know if you know anything about RFK Jr. So I've had my headphones on for a little while now just to preserve my sanity, because I know this next year is going to be a hellscape and I'm going to want to throw up most days, and I probably will most days. And it'll be not fun, because that's just how it is and has been for a while. So RFK Jr. is JFK's son. I think he's JFK's son. He's a
nephew.
He might be his nephew. Yeah, I believe that's correct. That's like the one thing that I probably should.
My mom was just talking about him, and I literally was just like, I don't care.
Yeah, so he's the outsider, basically candidate that's running in the Democratic primary.
Okay.
And he's has a long history of being an environmental lawyer. It's very good things that he's done.
Yeah.
So for environmental law, but like as this election has drawn on, it has become increasingly clear that this guy is like an anti-Semitic fascist. And it kind of came to a head yesterday, or like I think it was 2 days ago. So basically the New York Post came out with this this report that RFK Jr. said that COVID was a genetically that it was genetically like less likely to affect Chinese people and Ashkenazi Jews because of the way that because it's a bioweapon, essentially. And so it's like really like wild shit. And
he knows that COVID-19 has been, or not COVID-19, but like it's been around, like Corona's been around for a very long time.
And it's there's so many reasons why he's wrong. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like for the listeners on this podcast, I probably don't need to get into like explaining like all of the, you know, I'm not a scientist, but this guy is just wrong. You know what I mean? Like, there's no difference.
Well, the Kennedys don't have a good history with health in general, specifically mental health. Right. Granted, they've done a lot of work to rectify the wrongdoings that they've had, like putting it was his sister, right?
Yeah.
In a mental institution, gave her a lobotomy.
Yes.
Because she was autistic.
Anybody who is, that's sort of the ultimate irony about this guy to me, is that he's running as like this outsider, but it's like, you are a fucking Kennedy, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you are a member of the Kennedy family. Like,
you might as well be a Rockefeller. Yeah, you might as well be whatever.
You're the least outsider that you could possibly be. It would be like if Chelsea Clinton was like, I'm running to like, I've like stand for truth or whatever, and I'm an outsider. And it's like, dude, you are like literally the daughter, you're the child of like one of the most influential Washington families of all time.
He's the guy in the middle there?
Yeah, so I have the video. So we can watch it. I just, you know, I felt like this was kind of important to talk about because
I'm so glad I know about this.
This dude has been catching like he's been catching a lot of like really positive press because of his past and because of this sort of notion that he is like this outsider, which I'll actually get into dispelling why that's not true too. But I just felt like this was a little bit important to talk about because it's pretty serious. I mean, this guy's running for president.
Isn't there a woman who's also running for president?
Marianne Williamson, who I like quite a bit, actually.
She wrote I've heard, and granted, I'm paraphrasing from a drag race podcast that I listened to, but somebody had called in and was discussing her, and said that she wrote a book back in like maybe the 2000s or the 90s, where she was basically like defending AIDS happening to queer people because of their choices.
That's wild. That's insane. And
it's like in her book. And every time people bring it up to her, she just deflects.
You know, I don't know anything about that. And
I would also have to do more research on that.
But what I will say about Marianne Williamson is, at least I think that as far as the things that she says that she stands for as a politician, like, I'm on board with all of them. Like, she's a very like progressive, like forward-thinking person, and she is an outsider kind of. But with that said, like, I don't think that she is like really like would be a very good choice to be president in my personal opinion. Like, I just don't think that she has put out enough like sort of information on what she would do legislatively to like affect the kinds of change that she wants. I think that the purpose she serves, as far as like adding that sort of stuff into the conversation through this like, you know, sort of for-show Democratic primary is good.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily think that she would be a person that I would like that could ever win a general election or would be an effective president at all.
I haven't seen that since.
I'm curious though.
Like 2016 with Bernie, but we all saw how that went.
I fucking like. I'm like so into this stuff though, so I'm definitely gonna look up The Marianne Williamson stuff.
And I'll have to do research as well.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
So this video is...
So this is the video where he basically says, like, the shit that got reported on. And he's trying to be like, this was supposed to be off the record, but it's like, dude, you're on camera. One of my favorite things about this video is if you keep an eye on this dude in the background, he is like clearly like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, he's just like...
He's like, oh, no. No.
Mortified.
We need to talk about bioweapons. The level, I know a lot now about bioweapons because I've been doing a book on it for the past 2.5 years, and you know, the technology that we now have to develop these microbes, we've put hundreds of millions of dollars into ethnically targeted microbes. The Chinese have done the same thing. In fact, COVID-19, there's an argument that it is ethnically targeted.
You can barely understand him. He's like, he has some sort of speech impediment of some kind.
Sure.
Which is what that is, but like
I didn't know if he was just choosing to like talk through, like, you know, when you just have something caught in your throat and like you need to step away and like clear for a second so you can effectively speak. I thought that he was just powering through
for sure, and
delusionally.
So there's a degree of what you're catching is the speech impediment that he has, but the other half of it is that he's totally full of shit. Like, he clearly is like,
he keeps looking down like he's trying to gather.
Completely full of shit. Yeah, he
keeps looking down, which is a thing where as soon as somebody looks down, they're trying to like think of an
excuse, something like that,
or just to come up with an answer,
right?
And not from like a place of recollection, from a place of I need to create a story here.
Yeah, and so it is just like this moment where you can tell this guy is talking out of his ass.
This guy in the back.
He has a speech impediment, and he's glaring, dude. He is like, this is fucking this guy. I don't know who this dude is.
He looks like a cater waiter. I don't even know.
He does. I don't know if he's a reporter, if he's on this guy's team, or what, but he is like, this motherfucker is about to say some stupid shit. Like, he has the look in his eyes. He's watching him. So here you go. Let's do a little more.
COVID-19 attacks certain races disproportionately. The races that are most immune to COVID-19 are because of the structure of the genetic structure of genetic differentials among different races of the receptors of the ACE2 receptor. COVID-19 is targeted to attack Caucasians and black people. The people who are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese. But we don't know whether it was deliberately targeted that or not. But there are papers out there that show the racial and ethnic differential impact to that. We do know that the Chinese are spending hundreds of millions of dollars developing ethnic bioweapons, and we are
people laughing at him?
That's what all of those.
I think that people are
very nervous,
stunned by what he's saying. I think that somebody was like clearing their throat, probably out of like a oh fuck.
Please stop talking. Yeah,
because like there's so much wrong with what he's saying. I mean, first of all, there's no paper, and he made some tweets where he's like, "This is the paper that I'm talking about." And nowhere in it does it talk about bioweapons. There's no like discussion of bioweapons or whatever. It's talking about the way that COVID-19 has affected different demographics and the ways that, you know, that might have occurred. But there's nothing about bioweapons. There's nothing about genetic differences. And honestly, what I see this as, and what I think is really important to point out, and why I think it's perfectly suitable to say that he is anti-Semitic and a fascist, is because this is the exact sort of race science that people were doing like in the, you know, early 20th century, like right before sort of fascism came to be, and then ultimately Nazism and stuff like that. But he is like anti-vax, of course, like all this stuff, anti sort of public health, and on top of it now he
has sources, medical sources to to gather and to blame.
And the study that he shared is a legitimate study, and it's published in the National Institute of Health, but it just doesn't say what he's saying.
Well, just putting the entire umbrella that this is an attack from Asian people, like also like what it's unhelpful. First of all, it's untrue. And second of all, it is so unhelpful for what you're going for here. Like that's gross.
It's wild. And
it's really
people
gross.
Are obviously rightfully very, very upset, and we're like, this is fucked up. Like, you know, classifying.
When was this?
This was like 2 days ago. 1 or 2 days ago.
This was leaked.
Really recently.
And he's upset because he was supposed to be off record?
He was saying that it was off record and all this shit, but like when you're running for president and you're at a dinner with donors or journalists, nothing is off record. Like it's simple, like
also you're a Kennedy and you don't have a team that knows how to curate a setting where you can have this conversation, and if anybody wishes to share what you said, they have no proof.
Exactly.
It's your word against the future president.
Exactly. And you know, I don't think
I swear the technology and cameras have done more for exposing.
It's vitally important. It's like so important that people like have those tools and stuff, because otherwise we would be reliant on the people in power who have interest in like upholding all of these like oppressive systems for like our information. So it's really good that this person like leaked it. I mean, I have other issues with the New York Post. Like I think that they you know have like issues of their own, but for all intents and purposes, this was a pretty good thing to do. Now, beyond this, I think that, you know, in the backlash through this, and also if you look at the kind of donors that this guy has, it's, you know, it's a lot
Johnson & Johnson.
It's venture capitalists. Yeah. It's tech money. He has a ton of
well, you said he's green. He's been working with environmental things, which you get a portion of, you know, the population who is aware of the climate crisis and who can see in him somebody who could probably fix a great deal of the problems that we have. But at the same time, what necessary evil is this? So that we can exist on a planet where we have literal white supremacists.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a good trade-off. It just is like not an acceptable, to me in my mind. It's like, yes, like the climate crisis is serious and like we need to take care of it, but like we will never be able to like fix it if we are doing it at the expense of other people. Do you know what I mean? Like
that's what I'm saying. It's like what good is it to be here
it's not.
and to save the planet
exactly
when the planet exists?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing though, is like everything that this guy has done before he's ran for president is, it doesn't matter anymore. The second that you step into that arena, like the amount of interest that gets involved is like totally different. And if you look at it, you can look at, you know, who is donating money to this guy, and it is this like some of the exact same donors as Ron DeSantis.
Exactly.
It's the exact same donors, and it's a lot of people who are pumping money. Like a lot of big money donors have hosted fundraisers for both him and DeSantis. So you're seeing like this crossover.
Tomato.
Right. And so that's why I think it's just important to outline, because this guy is really popular among a certain like sort of group of people that I just don't think necessarily realize the sort of underbelly of what this is, which is like
big yikes.
It's huge. It's hugely bad. And he tweeted out, and this is, I think, sort of like, this is the last thing that I'll say, because this is sort of the cherry on top. Is after being accused of like all this stuff, he tweeted out, he said, "I will fight relentlessly alongside my Jewish brothers and sisters and friends against Jew hatred and the demonization of Israel. I have just recorded an interview with Rabbi Shmuley, whom the same New York Post just this month called the most famous rabbi in America. I have called upon the Biden administration to not consummate a second Iran deal that would give that genocidal government a legitimized nuclear program. In the same interview, I called upon the Democratic Party to return the strong, unconditional support of Israel that was the hallmark of the party under the leadership of my uncle and my father. So basically what he's calling for now as like a way to prove that he's not anti-Semitic and that he's not a fascist is that we should be giving support to the government of Israel, which, like, in my opinion, is unequivocally like a fascist regime.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
wreaking havoc on Palestine.
Yes. And so I think that, you know, especially like the current state of the Israeli government and Netanyahu is like an authoritarian. It just is like, these are just all huge red flags to me. And I wanted to really make sure that I highlighted these while it was fresh, because I have people in my life who are like, have you heard about this guy? Or like something like that. And they're not bad people. They're not like this.
No.
You know, but they just, I think that, you know, they see some of the other stuff that he's done and are like, well, he's like good. He like wants, you know, to clean up the environment and stuff like that. And
hey, want that so much for us. Want that so much, but at what cost?
Yeah, not this way.
And you were talking about, you know, like people who put in the work, and then as soon as you get in, you know, are going for a presidential candidacy, all of that work goes out the window. And if anybody proved that, it's Bernie Sanders, because he was fucking marching with Martin Luther King.
Right.
And
yeah, I mean, I think that
close but no cigar.
I just think that you know, it's difficult to maintain, like, if you are this, you know, person like fighting for good and stuff, the second that you run for office and try for political office, it becomes incredibly difficult to maintain sort of that sparkling record, because this political system is based off of interest groups being able to exert their influence on politics. And so the second that you become, you know, a legislator in that arena, it is incumbent upon all of these different interests to try and influence you. Right. And so it's impossible to maintain. But this guy, I think, was like a huge piece of shit before this. So
clearly,
you know. But
what a fucking weirdo. Like, and here's the thing. Every time somebody like exposes themselves like this, I'm like, you could have just not said anything.
Right. You could have just shut the fuck up.
Like, I know you don't watch The Bachelor, do you?
No, I'm familiar enough with it.
Okay.
But like, I haven't been watching like recently.
You know their longtime host, Chris Harrison, who was like, he was on like 20 seasons or something like that.
Yeah, okay, I know the guy.
He was the host for the longest time. And then there was like a racism scandal on Matt James's season. Okay. He was the first black bachelor, and he picked a white woman, Rachel, who he's still with, by the way. At the very end of it, proposed to her. They were planning on getting married. Well, during the release of the show, it came out that she attended plantation parties in college, which were, first of all, not allowed.
I vaguely heard about this. Yeah.
This is like in 2018, like straight up like hoop skirts.
Right.
Plantation parties.
Yeah.
Pictures came out. It was very bad. And, you know, the producers and production were keeping her silent because she wanted to come out and be like,
she wanted to tell him?
She wanted to come out and be like, listen, I did that.
You need to know about this.
I have since educated myself, and like, I understand how this is wrong, and I am against things like this. Like, it had happened like a few years prior. And you know what? From 2018 to 2020, think about how much you changed. Think about how much I changed.
Yes.
People do change. Was her behavior acceptable? Absolutely not. But if she acknowledges that, then that's a different thing.
Right.
Well, anyways, Chris Harrison like came to her defense being like, you know, she was a college girl and like just writing for her so hard when she hasn't even come out to say, hey, I don't.
She wasn't even defending herself.
I'm not going to defend myself. So he like was coming to her aid and stuff like that. Well, anyways, Rachel Lindsay was interviewing him. She works for E! She was the first Black Bachelorette.
Yeah.
And she's basically having this conversation with him about, Matt James's pick and all this stuff coming out. And Chris Harrison just defends her to the end, being like, well, was it bad? Would it have been bad in 2018 or now in 2020?
Yeah.
And it's just like,
that's insane.
It's like, oh, you just think because like of George Floyd protests and like BLM protests that people are going to like all of a sudden be like, you know what? Racism is really bad.
What I think the fundamental thing that people
And he
don't
told
understand,
on himself.
Yeah.
He didn't need to.
Yeah. He could have just shut up. It was none of his business.
Not even that, but his team could have said to Rachel Lindsay, who was interviewing him, hey, we're not going to do any questions about the Rachel Kirkconnell and Matt James scandal right now.
Yeah.
And he told on himself, and he lost his fucking job.
Yeah.
And also Mike Fleiss, who has been known for racism, obviously, within the show and stuff like that, he finally stepped down this past year.
Wow.
And he was the creator of the show.
Damn.
And now we have Charity Lawson, who's, I think she's the fourth Black Bachelorette we've had. We've only had one Black Bachelor, though.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that what people fundamentally like misunderstand, and it's always like the same sort of defenses, like, well, it's just a problem like now, and it's like, no, it was always a problem, dude. It was a problem before. It's just like there's more attention to the problem now.
That is the thing, is like it's not that like racism was this thing that once existed. It's like, no, we are fully uncovering like what slavery actually was.
Yeah. How
people were actually treated instead of this glossed over version
instead
where
of
like
what we've been teaching people this whole time.
People who don't have critical race theory think that there were some good slave owners. Like,
yeah.
They think because they are taught that there are good stories of this.
Yes. And I would even go even further than that and say that the kinds of like education that is being pushed in schools and labeled as critical race theory is not even critical race theory. It is just simply the truth. It is just simply what happened. And so it's the critical race theory, I feel like, is this name that has been given to the truth so that they can attack it. You know what I mean? It's because critical race theory is like it's an academic legal theory. It's not teaching kids about the realities of slavery.
It's not objective.
Yeah.
It's not an objective analysis.
Yes.
It is factual information about what happened. And I think that that's ultimately like what so many conservative people have an issue with about a varying number of topics, is just the access that people have to information now.
Yeah.
That's why they think that that's why they're trying to ban books. That's why they're trying to, get rid of critical race theories, because if people are educated enough to have access to this information and to even consider it,
then they won't be conservatives.
What dangerous territory. How did they keep so many people from having health care? They make it a really fucking complicated process.
Yeah.
Why do they make it so fucking difficult to get a house? Is so that you don't get a fucking house. They make things difficult so that it's inaccessible to not just people, but to people who are marginalized and
exactly
have a more difficult access to things like that.
And there's no good book ban. You know what I mean? Like, that's not like a good thing. You know what I mean? Obviously there are some books that would be inappropriate for like an elementary school kid to read. You know what I mean? But like none of them are about the different types of people that live in the world. You know what I mean? Like none of them, because at the end of the day, the reality about children is like they will, like, you teach them what is, like normal. And so if you keep drilling into their heads that like being gay or being trans isn't normal, then they're gonna like grow up to be bigots, or confused, or have all these myriad of problems. But if you teach kids that some people are trans and some people are gay and that's just the way the world is, you know what they'll do? They'll be like, that's just the way the world is.
True.
And they'll be fine, well-adjusted kids, and so that shit is like always wild to me. But I just think that, it's all like these mechanisms are like being deployed now to sort of protect what has been the status quo for so long, you know? And I think that a lot of the extremism that we're seeing and like the rise in it is backlash to that as these institutions become more and more threatened, and that kind of thing. They're you know, the backlash is always going to increase, and the money that they dump into that backlash will increase, which is exactly how you get RFK Jr.
Yeah. Snake oil salesmen.
Yeah.
And all these straw man arguments for, you know, drag bans and stuff like that. It's just like, you want to know the number one type of people that drag performers don't want at their fucking show? Children.
No,
they don't have any money.
Shit.
They don't have any money to tip them,
and it's annoying.
So they have no desire.
It's I don't know about you. Anytime I do a comedy show and somebody's like got their kid there, it's like, get your fucking kid out of here. And people always do this thing, right? They always do the same thing. They're like, no, it's okay.
Fine.
Like, you can do it. And it's like, well, it's not about that you think it's fine.
It makes me uncomfortable.
Everybody else in here sees a kid and is like, oh my God, this guy is talking about cum in front of this kid. And it's like, yeah, dude, it's
because what am I supposed to do? Be like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, it wrecks the experience for the other people there.
Yes.
So it's like, it's the shit about like kids. First of all, you know, it goes without saying, the idea that like drag is, you know, meant to sexualize children is absolutely fucking insane. It's like, this is like clearly like people have never been to a drag show.
That's
it's
the
like,
number one thing is like, let me, like, you clearly don't know what you're talking about. Let me clue you in.
It's a performance, and honestly, like most of it is, you know, I think that like most of it is like less like sexual, quote unquote, in the way that they mean than like a lot of other like performance arts that are like way more normalized. You know what I mean? Like, and so it, to me, it just like, as a person who has been to drag shows, like if you're just anybody with like common sense and like have experienced that, then like you'd be like, this is stupid, you know?
Exactly. Here's my thing.
Dumb.
So I have a really hard time watching like boxing or any sort of like really intense fighting. Like if it's like jujitsu or something like that, like I can kind of watch that. But if it's just like like a UFC fight, I get sick to my stomach like watching people hurt each other like that. So I don't watch that kind of stuff. Like it makes me uncomfortable. It's not my favorite thing. So I just don't watch it. And if people have that opinion about drag for one reason or another, don't go to a drag show. Nobody is going to flash mob you and put their dick and balls in your face. Nobody is going to do that.
You know what? But honestly, I'm starting to think that maybe we should. Maybe they deserve it.
What is it called? Like when you experience a phobia to get over it.
I have no idea, but we just got to start doing it to these motherfuckers.
I know. Then they can loosen up a little bit.
Oh man.
Like I host Body Language, and I encourage my drag performers and my burlesque performers to be as slutty and naked as possible, and I make my show 18 and over.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like, don't, you know.
Yeah, it's going to get real naked, and there's going to be naked adults. Yeah, your child is not allowed here. That's weird and bad. So
much of, I think, like the things that people get upset about in society are just based on the fact that they don't want to be, like, present parenting their children. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of the stuff that people get upset about, like even beyond the drag shows, it's like, well, like I don't want my kid to see that. And it's like, well, don't show your fucking kid that then, dude. You know? Like how
am I supposed to keep track? I don't know. Maybe talk to your child.
Yeah, you chose to have a
healthy relationship with them so that they want to talk to you and can feel comfortable being open to you. Oh, they've seen you be critical of Black people, brown people, fat people, disabled people, gay people your entire life. They probably think you're a really judgmental, full of hate person, and they're terrified of you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
so
sad.
They don't feel comfortable telling you about their fucking day.
Yeah.
Shocker.
Yeah. It's a bummer.
My mom was cool. I love my mom.
My parents were all right.
Good.
You know, they they definitely weren't like hateful or anything.
Did they hit you?
Yeah, they did.
Me and my mom were talking about this. I picture you being a very sweet boy.
I didn't get hit a lot.
Okay.
But my brother got hit a lot.
Shit.
Yeah, my brother got hit a lot. My dad did most of the hitting.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, it's okay. I mean, yeah, it's fine. I think that
I mostly asked it so I could answer. So
yeah,
that
did you get hit?
I didn't. I was a pretty good kid too.
Yeah.
I got like the corner a couple times, but if I was being a real cunt, I think I got like, I think I got smacked in my bottom like twice. Yeah. But one time on the way to school in high school, I spilled like foundation on my shirt, and everybody's opinion meant everything to me back then.
Yeah.
And still kind of. But yeah. I spilled like a bunch of stuff on my shirt, and we were already running late, and I was like, Mom, you have to turn around, and screaming at her, and she was like, no, we're already late. I'm gonna be late to work. And I was like, you're being such a fucking bitch. And she just was so alarmed. She took her fist and punched my thigh while she was driving. And she was like, don't you dare tell me.
Oh, man.
And was like, oh, my God. We both felt so bad. Like, we texted each other as soon as we got in. Like, as soon as she got to work, she texted me. She was like, I'm sorry. I love you so much. I was like, I'm really sorry, too.
Yeah. My mom hit me in the face as an adult because we were in South Carolina and we were driving somewhere, and she was driving, and I was trying to give her directions. And I was, like, holding the GPS for her or something. Like, I was like here, like trying to like tell her which way to go, and I was like, you gotta turn here, and she's like, I don't think that's where I need to go. And I was like, but it says like to go this way, and I was like, you missed it. And then she was just like, bow, and like backhanded me across the face. And I was like, what the I was like 18. And
oh my God.
No, I was of legal hitting age.
You were fair game.
It was legal. It was a legal hit.
It's actually not legal.
It's legal in my book. It's legal in Jake's law.
Oh my goodness.
Moms can hit. You know what?
Actually, moms
can hit. It's okay, dude. Moms should be allowed to get like one hit in on their child like once in their life, because it's tough, dude. Being a mom is hard.
Here's the thing. I don't want to speak for everybody's experience, because I know that some fathers are super fucking present in their children's lives.
Yeah.
But I can say, from my experience of seeing fathers, sometimes they're not as involved as the mom.
Oh yeah.
And if the mom is taking the brunt, if she's parenting for two,
she should get to hit.
Just like a little.
Nothing bad. A little pat on the butt. Hey, stop it.
Yeah.
You know, I think
a little. Listen,
I think
the talking when your teeth are together.
Yeah, dude, that's so scary when mom does that.
Shut the fuck up. Don't shut the fuck up. We're gonna get the fuck out of here.
Jacob Redpath. You do not.
What's your
stop it.
What's your middle name?
I'm Scott Jacob Redpath.
That's right, you're Scott Jacob Redpath.
Scott Jacob Redpath. You do not stop it.
That gets chills up my spine. Hearing your full name.
But when we were kids, Dad mostly hit her. Hit us.
I'm so happy to not have a dad now. That's awesome.
You know what? Here's what I'll say, and I know that this is wrong. I know this is a wrong opinion.
Oh boy.
But I think because I was hit as a kid, and I feel like every other person who's hit as a kid has a little bit of this, where you're like, yeah, like hitting a kid is like is bad, and like you shouldn't do it, but like it's not that bad. Like, you kind of work on me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think I turned out all right. You know what I mean? Like, because if you admit that it's bad and that it fucks kids up, then you're kind of admitting that like you're fucked up, which I am a little bit. So like, I do think that hitting kids is bad. But like,
yes,
if you're gonna hit a kid, I feel like I was hit the right amount.
I feel like I was also hit like just the right amount. Yeah. Like it's by a case basis. Like if you're if the kid is like not loving it, maybe like stop doing it.
If it's not working, if you keep hitting the kid and it gets worse, it's like
And by the way, I'm talking about strictly bottom smacks.
Yeah, all butt stuff.
And pants on, no bare butt.
Pants on, no bare butt, because then you're just gonna make your kid into some kinky shit.
And we have enough of those. So I'm over it.
Yeah, but all bottom stuff, and light, and only the really like times where they really deserve it.
Yeah. Yeah, like if they pour like chocolate milk in the fish tank and kill all the fish.
Yeah. It's like
and also maybe talk to them, because if you're killing animals, that's a problem. I've heard statistically they're
people who kill small animals.
Well, it's that like most like a lot of serial
there's like
killers
the
have.
three things.
Yeah.
It's bedwetting, killing small animals, and I think the last one is seizures, I believe. Yeah.
What?
Like, yeah, I think
like epileptic?
I think grand mal seizures, or it might not be seizures, but it's like a traumatic injury.
Brain injury.
And maybe not even brain, but like, you know, because a lot of serial killers, they were like in the hospital a lot because they were sick when they were kids and shit, like that kind of stuff.
I've heard of those big three things.
Signs of serial.
I feel like it's also like
not true.
Weird mom stuff.
Oh, weird mom stuff. Yeah, that is. Yeah.
Like they all hate their moms. And their moms were just like tired and sad because everybody had postpartum depression and nobody got treatment for it.
Yeah.
They were just like, take some speed, you lazy hag.
Yeah, for sure. Like anytime a lady felt like upset about anything until like the 80s, they were just like, how about some pills?
Yeah.
How about some pills and shut up?
They'd do a good old fashioned brain scramby, or they would do some speed.
Yeah, let's shock it. It's called the McDonald Triad. Arson, cruelty to animals, uresis, unintentional bedwetting. So arson. I don't have the cruelty to animals. I didn't ever pee my bed.
I only peed my bed when I was an alcoholic, but that's it.
Yeah, that doesn't count. That's not what they're talking about.
But it wasn't intentional, trust me.
Yeah,
I did not mean to.
All these serial killers got fucked up and kept pissing in their beds. That's like the one thing they kept bringing up. They're like, do you have anything that could like give us insight? They're like, yeah, every time I get drunk, I piss in my bed.
Doesn't matter if I go right before bed.
I did like sleepwalk and pee on stuff though. Did you ever do any of that?
No, but I've dated people who would like sleepwalk when they were drunk and pee on the dog bed quite often. And then it's wet and soggy.
Yeah, and your dog smells like piss.
More like piss than they normally do.
Yeah. I did it was when I was a little kid. I would sleepwalk and pee on stuff in our house. Like one time I woke up and I was just like standing on the landing in our stairs, just pissing on the wall.
Oh no.
Just all over the wall. And like one time I walked into my parents' bedroom and I like woke up midstream because they're like, what are you doing? Because I was just pissing like an arc of pee like onto their bed and shit. Yeah. I was a dirty little fuck. I was a sick little freak.
You sick little boy. You sick little boy.
You got any pee stories?
I've peed on the side. I've peed on the side of the highway. Oh my gosh! When I was moving from Milwaukee to Kansas City, like before I moved back to Kansas City, we had like just stopped at what's that big truck stop in Iowa?
Oh, is it like Love's?
It's like the biggest one.
Oh, I don't know.
In the Midwest or something.
Yeah.
It's like the biggest truck stop, and it's in Iowa. And we had just stopped at it, and I had peed, but I had to pee again like an hour and a half later, and we were stuck in like deadlock traffic. My mom and my dad were ahead of me, and they had the trailer and everything, and I had my whole entire back seat full, and then my dog was in my front seat with me, so it was just packed, and I was like, it was just scooting enough to where like I couldn't get out and pee really quick on the side of the road, but I had a jar, so I like put it in park, and I sat like I literally just like put it right over my holes.
Dude.
And I peed into the jar, and then like it filled up, and I had to stop my pee.
Whoa.
And dump it out
and keep peeing.
And there were people all around me. And then I peed again, and then it was just a little bit, and then we started moving a lot. So then I don't know if you've ever made the mistake of just pouring anything out the window. If you pour anything while you're moving, it will spray back in. Right. And I knew this, so I was like, okay, well now I just have to have this pee in my car, and I put it in my cup holder. So I had like a mason jar with a little bit of, just a little bit. It was just like that much, like like 3 fingers tall. Yeah. And I put it, and it was just sitting in my car, and I didn't have a lid, and my dog kept like sniffing it and like licking the rim. And then the next stop we had, I finally got to pour it out.
Yeah. And your dog was like, no.
I wanted that. Yeah. He's a sick little freak too.
Yeah, we're all a little twisted.
We're a little twisted, man.
But we have been recording for 2 minutes over an hour. So
oh my gosh,
we've reached the end. I know. Time flies. I really appreciate you coming on and doing
Thanks
the
for
show.
cluing me in. I can't wait to find out a bunch of horrible stuff about that guy.
Yeah. Look it up. Normally this is like a little more lighthearted, but I felt it was at least a little bit important to talk about.
No, I appreciate
that
it.
stuff is like it's politics. I'm really interested in like the machinations of it and stuff like that. So
I could go on and on.
Yeah, but
could talk forever with you.
What would you like to plug, Brittany?
Oh, you can give me a follow on social media. BT from KC on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and I guess Threads now. Yeah. I don't really talk about much on Twitter and Threads unless it's The Bachelor. So if you, I don't. That's the only thing. That's my safe space in that area. But feel free to give me a follow. I post show dates. I'm going to be at Barrel of the Bottom September 9th for the one nights that they have.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to be at Knuckleheads on September 10th. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Tickets are still for sale. And I think the link tree's in my bio on Instagram and other socials. So
come to Knuckleheads and to One Night Stand Up. And follow Brittany, of course. Also, follow the podcast on Instagram at jaken.off.podcast. And we're on TikTok. All that good stuff. Send us anything at all to jaken.off.podcast@gmail.com and give this podcast a 5-star review if you would. Other than that, I love you.
You better.
I love you so much. Thank you for listening to my podcast. I appreciate it.
That was a good Adam Sandler.